Yavapai Broadcasting and the City of Cottonwood proudly present Inside Cottonwood, an inside look at the decisions and issues of the City of Cottonwood. Brought to you by Arizona Smile Designers. Here's Cottonwood City Manager Doug Bartosh.
Good morning. Well, I guess I shouldn't say good morning. Hello, and welcome to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host and City Manager, Doug Bartosh, and I'm here with James Perey, the Dean of the Verde Valley campus of Yavapai College, and there's a lot going on up there, and so I thought it was a good time to bring James in and kind of get an update as to what's going on.
Great, I appreciate
Hit the highlights.
Appreciate it, Doug. We're getting ready to come up on the start of the semester. Classes start on August 19th. And so we've still got classes available, both online, face-to-face for those who really appreciate that method of delivery, and then also blended or hybrid. So, I had heard some rumors in the community, the campus is going all online. Well, that's not true. We want to offer a variety of offerings so that they meet whatever the student would like to do. And, gen ed classes, your general education, math, science, transfer type classes, art classes, viticulture, enology. And let's not forget the Sedona side as well, and offerings up there with digital film media. So lots happening as far as a broad array of different types of courses, and something for everybody. You've also got Osher lifelong learning, for those that want a variety of different types of subjects, and then community education as well. So whether it be credit or non-credit, there's just a lot of opportunity for general interest, or you want to retool for a career or transfer to a four-year university.
One of the questions that people may have is, a lot of times colleges kind of specialize. I mean, does the Verde Valley campus really specialize in anything? Or what are your most popular courses up there?
Yeah, as far as specialization, you want to offer, like I said, a broad array of different coursework, especially in the transfer realm. If, the trend right now, and really it makes sense, is when an institution launches a program, they don't duplicate the program necessarily countywide. Now, there may be some coursework that could be delivered online or blended, hybrid type format, but what you're really looking for is signature or destination type programs. And right now, really, the only destination program we currently have is viticulture and enology. And with that being said, our intent is in September, we're hoping to break ground on the Southwest Wine Center, which is really exciting for everybody. And the intent is that facility then will be up and ready to move by fall of 14. So 1 year from the start of this year, that facility should be built. We should have students and classes in that facility.
So are you finding those classes are getting pretty filled? A lot of interest in those areas of study?
There are. We think that, again, we've had fantastic partnerships with the local wineries and vineyards to help our students gain that practical application. But it's always good for an institution, if at all possible, to have those types of facilities on campus. That doesn't mean that we will get away from trying to work with the wineries and the vineyards here, but to teach the basic skills here on site, on campus, and then be able to have them do their practicums. They're required a number of practicum hours off-site, so they get really a well-rounded education when it comes to the industry and what they want to do.
Now, are you guys still doing the programs? Because I know it kind of started off with wine appreciation courses and wines of the United States and wines of the world. And are you guys still doing those classes as well?
We're still doing those classes. Currently, they're taught by Paula Woosley, who's our adjunct, longtime adjunct. She offered, actually, those were the first classes that we kind of soft launched to get a feel for,
right,
would the program take off? And she's doing a fantastic job for us in that realm. And as we look at the viticulture, the enology piece. The third leg of the stool that we'll be looking at pretty heavily in the coming year is the business aspect of those two different areas, and what kind of tools can we give current people that currently work in the industry that aren't going to necessarily come back for the vit and enology side, but what types of business aspects. We think that's kind of that third leg to complete that stool.
You know, it's an interesting, you know, to watch how that took off is just unbelievable. I mean, it really is great.
Well, and there's so many things. You know, one of the big pushes nationwide is entrepreneurship. So when you launch a specific program, you want, what institutions are trying to do is put an entrepreneurship piece with that. And everything that goes into it, whether it be bookkeeping, whether it be finding funding sources, going through the loan process, finding investors, those sorts of things, managing personnel. We know that is you know, always a challenge. So, you know, a lot of people need those skill sets, so it's important to offer those.
You know, and I know one of the things when I was back in college a long time ago, you know, my first experience was a community college. You know, and I thought, as I reflected back on it, I got some of the best education I've ever had at the community college level as opposed to the university level. And I think that it was largely because the professors weren't, you know, they didn't feel so much pressure to do research and publish and those kind of things. And I know it's gotten a little bit different since then, because I actually had to leave community college to go on to a university to get my undergraduate degree. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. You guys seem to really have kind of combined with the universities, a couple of different universities, as I recall.
We've got some great partnerships with the three state universities, and even one of the privates, Grand Canyon University, has partnered with us in a variety of different aspects to do kind of 2+2 programs, so that our students have the option to roll up into a bachelor's degree and even, you know, go on further. We're currently have great working relationship with the University of Arizona in looking at viticulture and what can we possibly do in the plant science realm, possibly through their College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. In the retail and marketing, I didn't know if you knew this, but the University of Arizona has a top-ranked marketing and retail school where many of their graduates go to work for Macy's and some of the big end companies. So, you know, looking at what does the institution have to offer as far as a 4-year, and where can we potentially provide opportunities for our students. And that's important when we design any program, Doug, is looking at those options, because some certificates and degrees may be what we call terminal degrees, but we want to make sure, if at all possible, that there is the option to go on and further their education.
Let's go ahead and take our first break, and then come back and join us, and let's learn a little bit more about what a great asset we have here in the Verde Valley through the Yavapai College. Come back and join us. Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host, Doug Bartosh, and I'm here with James Perey from Yavapai College, and we're talking about all the great things going on in the Verde Valley with the college. And you were talking during the break a little bit about a feasibility study. What's going on with that? Yeah,
so as we look at possible new program development for the college as a whole, and specifically, you know, even on this side of the mountain, One of the things we're currently exploring is culinary arts. What does that look like? What are other institutions, successful institutions throughout the United States doing? What are they doing well? And what really makes sense? Because we want to focus on meeting a need within our community. You know, again, we're a community college, and we want to make sure that we're providing, you know, to some extent a workforce for the local area, but then what skills are necessary for students to go elsewhere if they choose to do that, and expand opportunities. So I just got back from a culinary institute in Charleston that runs 1,100 students through their program. And it's very large. It's a 2-year institution. So again, we're looking at schools that are comparable to us, not necessarily in size, but in what their mission is. And take a look at their facilities, take a look at costs associated with the program. And that's where we kind of are right now. It's just gathering information to say, is this something that we want to explore further? And is it a good opportunity both for our community and for our students?
You know, and it's interesting because it seems like the restaurant offerings, particularly in Cottonwood, have just exploded here lately. You know, Bocce's just opened up, the Schoolhouse, Brass Tack, Quince, you know, and some of the smaller places like Crema and Red Rooster and Old Town Cafe. I mean, it has just exploded in terms of what you have to choose from in terms of food services in Cottonwood. And really throughout the Verde Valley, there's some great opportunities to go get some really great food. You know, but it seems to me one of the things I've heard from the restaurant owners is finding staff. You know, not only wait staff, but, you know, chefs and food preparers and bartenders and those kind of things. And so there seems like there really is a need for that in this area.
And I think so as well. You know, when once we kind of run the numbers and see what we're looking at, Doug, then it becomes imperative that we put together an advisory board or kind of a site committee for this particular program in further expanding, you know, what should it look like? Because it's extremely important that you have stakeholders or constituents involved in the process and really evaluating what are the needs of, for instance, in culinary, what are their needs of the restaurant owners? What are they looking for? Are there gaps that they're finding in this area, so that we can prepare and really be on the front end of trying to provide them with a quality product, whether it be, you know, sous chefs or head chefs or baking and pastry, whatever it may be.
You know, and I think that's one of the great things about a community college as well is we've certainly had a lot of discussion with you and your administration about how do we team up to really develop the economy over here. And the community college has been so responsive. For instance, I know you guys had a great nursing program in cooperation with the Verde Valley Medical Center back when it was just impossible to find nurses, to get nurses up to speed. I think you guys saw the opportunity in the viticulture programs where the wine growers and winemakers were going, we need staff. We don't have people who know how to manage our vineyards. We don't have people who know how to make wine. And now it seems like the next step is potentially culinary.
It is, and I would also add, you know, from the credited side and preparing, you know, people for the workforce so that they can go and work for these potential employers in this area. But the other thing is, too, is continuing education, is finding out from, whether it be the local growers, you know, what is a need that you have, and then doing some continuing education or some advanced stuff, putting that together through the college so that, again, we can stay abreast of current industry and what's happening.
You know, and I think you had mentioned retooling, and it seems like with this last recession that just hit everybody really hard, I think there's probably been a lot of people that have kind of had to reconsider, you know, what their background and training has been, and the need to look at kind of shifting their focus to a changing world. A world that's changing pretty rapidly in terms of what the workforce needs are.
It is. We've been very fortunate in that the community colleges, for the most part, are able to ramp up relatively fast to the needs, where your 4 institutions are a little bit slower to do that in many cases. You know, one of the things you have to realize is, you know, retooling for a career, a community college is really a viable option. And most of the research is saying by the year 2020, 2025, you're going to need a 2-year education, or at least 2 years of higher education, in order to find a good paying job, a good wage paying job in the United States. So again, we want to be on the forefront of that, at looking at new things that are you know, starting to trend out, is where are the jobs, and where can we kind of fit those into our curriculum and see what we can do to again offer a variety of opportunities for our students.
You know, and that's one of the things that's kind of interesting, and it's kind of a chicken or the egg question, is, you know, we want to create higher paying kind of knowledge-based jobs. And so the question that you get into is, do you create the workforce first to be able to attract those jobs here, or do you get the jobs here and then create the workforce? And it's probably a balance of that, but
it is. But I would venture to say that it's really what you do is you focus first on the current needs of the area. Like I said, the community colleges can ramp up relatively fast.
Right.
So if a municipality is courting a company to come in, what you want to make sure is that, again, you've got all stakeholders sitting down to talk about what can possibly happen, because where Yavapai College fits in then is that educational piece, workforce development, and things like that, so we can really take a look at and prepare on the front end. Says this company, hey, we're willing to work with you. We can possibly design a curriculum. What are we talking about? So that we can start to prepare so that if that company decides to come here, it's kind of a symbiotic relationship that benefits everyone.
you know, and it does seem like when we have companies or organizations that want to come in and look at the area, they're very interested in what the college is doing and how they can support building their workforce or improving their workforce. And so I think it really goes to show how important the college is to our economic health in the Verde Valley.
Well, and again, I would reciprocate that and say that, you know, the health of the college is dependent on the community that it's in as well.
That's a good point.
You know, so again, you know, your community, your college, you know, life explored, you know, this is an opportunity for, again, in a variety of settings, to take a class for general interest or expand from the credited side educational opportunities.
Let's go ahead and take our next break. Come back and join us. I'm going to ask James about the cost between going to the university versus a community college, which everybody is concerned about the cost of education these days. So come back and join us.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have two ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host, Doug Bartosh. We're here with James Perey from Yavapai College, and he's the dean of the Verde Valley campus. And before we left, I promised that I would ask about cost. So, you know, we're all concerned about the cost of education and getting our kids through school. I mean, I'm beginning to save to send my granddaughter to college, and she's only 3, and I'm still worried whether I'll have enough money at the time. So what is the price difference between, say, a university and Yavapai College?
It's significant, Doug. Right now, you know, really average for our gen ed is around, I think it's $70 to $80 a credit hour. I need to check because some programs have gone up. But really, you're talking about at least a third of the cost of going to a 4-year institution. And really, the smart thing to do, a lot of students coming right out of high school, you know, preparing for you know, a job or a career and getting their education, it makes sense to go to the community college because you're getting the same classes that are transferable to a 4-year institution at a fraction of the cost. Almost, you know, it'll cost you about $300 per class, where it would cost you about $80 per class for us. And those are straight one-to-one transfers. So if it's an English 101, it's going to transfer to any of the universities. And another thing that you have to consider is that it's really, we have a smaller to teacher student ratio.
Right.
You know, so we're looking 1 to 24, 1 to 15, something like that. You know, I'm sure that you remember your experience at the university where I myself had a class full of 500 students in it. You had, in many cases, you had TAs teaching classes, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but the focus of faculty at the community college level is on teaching. There's no research component to it. So their love of what they do and the pedagogy and the methodology behind it is really at the forefront of delivering education at the community college level. Another thing to consider is, you know, student loan debt just surpassed credit card debt. And really, the average for a student graduating with a bachelor's degree is about $30,000 in debt. When you look at, I'll say, for instance, starting salary of an elementary educator coming out with a bachelor's, starting salary is going to be somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 depending on the school district. So that's what you're making. You owe that much more in debt. So you're looking at, you know, some payments, a 30-year payoff, a couple $100 a month at least. And so really a viable option is getting your 2 years that'll transfer straight up into university for less than $5,000.
You know, I mean, our universities in Arizona are fantastic, and there's many great universities across the country, but, and you may be aware of this, I was the police chief at Arizona State University, and, you know, there's kind of a psychological, emotional piece to this too, in that not every kid at 18 or 19 years old is ready for that university environment. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of opportunity to kind of go sideways at a university, where if you're, you know, potentially staying at home or at least close to home and going to a community college, not only do you save money, but I think it gives you an opportunity to maybe mature a little bit. And not every kid is mature enough at 18 to go off to a university and succeed.
There's a readiness factor, and I was that way myself, Doug, going into the military first before I went, you know, into to college. You're exactly right. I mean, those of us who went to relatively small rural high schools, you step into a university atmosphere, and it's a whole nother world. And adjusting to that psychologically, emotionally, whatever it may be, can be very difficult. So what you have is a continuum from the K-12 district and high school into a community college where it's similar, but it's different as well, where you start to gain that higher education experience, that college experience, and again, continuing then with an additional 2 years into a 4-year institution to finish on with your bachelor's, or go even above that should you choose to want to do that. So definitely a viable option. The majority of undergrads are taught in the community college, and then they transfer.
Right.
You know, we're one of the, I guess, larger community college, rural larger community colleges, but you know, you've got the Maricopa system that has over 60,000 students that are feeding into four-year universities.
Gigantic.
So it is gigantic.
You know, and I think to a large extent, I mean, the city, Cottonwood, certainly recognizes the benefit and the asset that we have in the college, and it really is a tremendous piece of our economic kind of picture for the city of Cottonwood. I mean, again, we've got to have a workforce that is trained to be able to attract businesses here. And just the fact that we have the hospital that employs over 800 people, you know, to have, you know, an institution like Yavapai College, they're ready to develop a program that supports the healthcare needs of our community is absolutely, you know, what an asset.
That is really a focus. You'll hear Dr. Wills, our president, say that as well. She's really invested in economic development in all of the towns and cities that we serve in Yavapai County. So, you know, if you've got an idea, or it's important to give us a call to see where we might be able to fit into that. And again, create kind of a culture within our county that is conducive to benefiting all of us.
You know, and certainly, you know, the opportunities really shrink when you don't have that education behind you. And my philosophy was, I want to get my undergrad degree. I got my, you know, my master's degree, because if something at that time didn't work out for me in law enforcement, it gave me an opportunity to look somewhere else. I had that educational background.
Doug, this is, again, having a campus right here in the Verde Valley is a phenomenal opportunity for students, again, to either get a taste of, start, or maybe even finish their educational goals. I'd like to throw out one thing. I think we've got a few more minutes, but on September 10th, we've got a district governing board meeting here on the Verde campus from approximately 1 to 4. Following that, we will have a dedication of the pavilion to Chuck Mayberry.
Oh, great.
So Chuck was one of the kind of founding members, impetus for the campus here on the Verde, and we want to go ahead and dedicate that pavilion. So we invite all of the community to come out. That'll start approximately 4:30. So and that'll be on the
September 10th.
September 10th on the Verde campus.
Make sure we get that.
Right.
You know, I think another important thing to say is, I don't know about you, but I was not a great high school student. I did not get good grades. But you know, it all changed when I went to college. And I think a lot of it was because in high school I felt I had to be there. When I went to college, it was my choice. And it was my money that I was spending. And I did much better in college than I did in high school.
Doug, we have fantastic faculty here on this campus, district-wide. We also have fantastic people that work in student services. One of the things that holds people back, especially those that have been out of high school for a long time, and again, it could have been an average student, something like that, is the fear then of going to college. We have just a variety of different types of resources. So what I would say is, give it a shot. Take that step.
Yeah, I mean, you know, don't sell yourself short. If you had problems in high school, it could have been a maturity thing. You know, you just weren't focused on college or education at that time. Give it a try. And if you're older and you want to retool, this is a great opportunity. If you just want to learn about something that you've always been interested in, go to Yavapai College here in the Verde Valley. It's a great opportunity. Again, great asset for our community. And James and Dr. Wills have been great partners here with the city of Cottonwood. So thanks for coming on today. Really appreciate it. Come back and join us again on Inside Cottonwood.